meeting. Please rise for a pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Jeff Renahan, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Jessica Lopez, Third Ward.
Matthew Oliver, Fifth Ward.
Ann Schurshin, Sixth Ward.
Felicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the Town.
John Baisley, Town Supervisor. Welcome, everybody. For the beginning of tonight's meeting, we have two public hearings. One's on Raymond Avenue School, and the second one's the open public hearing for Stormwater Annual Report. I'd like to make a motion to open the first public hearing for Raymond Avenue School.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anybody here to discuss the Raymond Avenue School project? Doreen.
So I don't know if there's been any changes since we last saw the proposal for this, but when I last saw it was plus or minus 181 apartments. And again, I think that's an issue, the plus or minus. I think it gives the applicant too much leeway. And while it was said that there would be no big swings in the numbers, there's no guarantee. And my comment would be that a maximum number of total apartments should be required. Also, under the definition of anchor project in 210-9, I believe that needs better definition. It says a project comprised of a mix of uses that may include but not limited to commercial, residential, and institutional uses. However, farther down, under bulk regulations and area regulations, it says that an anchor project shall include a mix of uses as determined by the planning board, making it an anchor project. So again, I don't believe that the planning board should be the one to make that determination. I believe it should be defined in the town code, and as you know, only the town board can change the town code. And the last thing is that under permitted uses for anchor project, it talks about inns, and that's under 210-77. And it says that there's an exception for certain sections, but I don't understand why for this particular use it says that there are exceptions, because in other areas like the South Hill Center, Arlington Town Center, Salt Point Center, they all contain inn as a use, and there are no exceptions for that. So I don't know why this is being treated differently. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. Is there anybody else that would like to discuss the Raymond Avenue School? If not, a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This public hearing is going to be closed, and it's not going to be rescheduled at this time until they come back with their project again. The second public hearing is a Stormwater Annual Report. Motion to open that public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Anybody like to discuss public hearing number 2? Doreen?
So as usual, I will be submitting detailed written comments on the annual report, but I'd just like to make a few comments tonight. So the town board, working with Riverkeeper, recently voted to become part of the Intermunicipal Council for the Hudson River drinking water, and basically that's to protect the drinking water for those communities that get their water from the Hudson River. But again, I think we need to be stressing the connection between stormwater runoff and water quality of the Hudson River. And I think the town needs to be a little more vigilant in the inspections and monitoring when it comes to that. And recently, Dan Shapley of Riverkeeper responded to one of my emails that I sent to the supervisors and mayors who are joining that council. And Dan said, "We agree, of course, that our water protection rules and regulations need to be enforced to be effective. Too often, they are not. Water quality suffers. Stormwater regulations are often seen as burdensome rather than beneficial. We know stormwater is a large and often the largest contributor of pollution to the river and its tributaries. Individual incidents add up, so vigilance is key to the long-term protection and restoration of water quality." So again, I just think that there needs to be more vigilance when it comes to inspecting and monitoring of construction sites. And I'll just give you one quick example here. During the stormwater during this stormwater period, I saw a construction site on the Vassar College campus that had a storm drain covered in mud. There was no inlet protection, and the area was not vegetated. There was no erosion and sediment control. And I don't know how long it was like that, but to me, that's something that should have been found during the required inspections. And subsequent to my complaint, Vassar was told to replace the inlet protection and that it should have remained until the area was stabilized. So again, we just need to be more vigilant on the inspection and monitoring of this, because if you're joining this consortium and your concern is about water quality, stormwater runoff is a big pollutant. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. Anybody else? No? If not, a motion to close public hearing number 2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept the draft stormwater annual report prepared by the Town of Poughkeepsie Director of Municipal Development, and be it further resolved that the said report has been filed in the Town Clerk's office for review and comment by any interested party, and has been posted on the town's website. And be it further enacted that the legal notice of the public hearing was posted on April 20th, 2018, and published in the Poughkeepsie Journal on April 23rd, 2018. And be it further resolved that on May 2nd, 2018, a public hearing was held at a regularly scheduled meeting of the Town Board. And be it further resolved that the public review and comment period ends at 4 p.m. on May 11th, 2018, when all written or oral comments are to be submitted. And be it further resolved that the Town Board does direct the Director of Municipal Development to review the comments and prepare for filing the final report, which is due May 25th, 2018. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. That brings us to the end of our public hearings. And tonight's agenda, we have retirement of Curtis Mascarenas, Police Lieutenant, retirement of David Sanzo, Police Officer, adopt the Civil Rights Policy, Town Code Amendment Zoning Map 231 to 245 North Grand Avenue, authorize Karen Schubert, receiver of taxes, to go to a seminar, which is in the budget, appoint Water Department laborers Todd Frunze and Robert Dunlop, authorize Hudson Valley Greater Fest at Vassar College, a tax search settlement for Bocce Partnership LP, bid the mowing of town parks to Tancredi Landscaping, refer legal the following claim: Royal versus the town, Chinoa versus the town, and Correa versus the town. And let's see, 2 stipend law, planning board and zoning board members. 14 is the Central Hudson street light conversions. And 3 special consents. One's a 30-day liquor license renewal for Paula's Public House, Kobe Hibachi Sushi, establish an open development area to Eastdale project with conditions. That one's going to be referred to the Planning Board in Dutchess County Department of Planning. And SC3 is Shabbat Lubavitch Torah's Community Parade. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for any item on the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to discuss any item on the agenda? As you come up, just state your name.
We're good.
Yeah.
My name is Ryan Bosch.
Adam Patain.
We're with a local podcast, Dead Radio Podcast it's called, and we are hoping with your graces to put on this Hudson Valley Creator Fest, which celebrates local crafters and artisans and entertainers in the area. It's also to benefit a nonprofit organization that we've been working with for a little while now called Heroic Food. They teach sustainable farming methods to local Hudson Valley veterans to try and get them jobs at local farms and everything like that. I just wanted to come forward, make sure that it's okay to do this, and just let everybody know we have all this together.
Where are you holding it on campus?
It's not on campus. It's actually next to the Crafted Cup on Raymond Avenue.
Okay, that little hole there?
The vacant lot. I think they call it the Garden, if I'm not mistaken.
Space, yeah.
It's 46 Raymond Avenue.
And how many vendors did you get to come?
Right now, we're at 25, but there's still
good.
people coming in, to be honest.
That's really good.
We have sponsors, random donations from just friends of ours. There will be, I believe it's 8 bands playing. I should say 5 bands, 3 acoustic acts. Sound equipment is being donated by Darkside Records, Poughkeepsie. We will have alcohol on the premises. However, the entire site will be fenced off. The Crafted Cup has been gracious enough to get a liquor license for the day, and they will be taking that. The owner of the Crafted Cup, Tanner Townsend, he'll be handling that as well. So,
Thanks. Good luck. It sounds like it's a good cause.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a charge to get in, or it's just coming?
No, it's free admission, but we're going to be, accepting donations as well as a suggested donation for beer.
We'll also be doing raffles as well. We have a lot of donations from local companies, all different things. We can have a lot of stuff, actually.
All right, thanks. Sounds
Thank you.
very good.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. And Doreen?
So special consent item number 2, Eastdale, is that, so it's my understanding that's what the new McDonald Heights name is?
Correct.
Okay. So this was just added onto the agenda at the last minute. It wasn't posted for the public. And again, that's a large project, and even though you say it's just for a referral, it is for an open development area, and I think that something like that should have been available for the public to look
Doreen,
at ahead of time.
She was trying all afternoon to get it online, but there was something with the system. She couldn't get it up. She was
Well-
calling. I understand your problem. That's why we didn't feel, it's going for just a referral. There's no decision being made tonight at all, and everybody will have
Okay.
the time frame when it comes back to, voice their opinion on it.
Yeah, because even if there was a problem today, I mean, was there something that, a reason why it couldn't have been, like they couldn't have given it to you to put on, earlier? So again, just as maximum public participation would have been good to be on there earlier. Regarding number 6, the town code amendment to the zoning map, just like to point out that I believe that there's probably about a half-acre wetland on that project site. And when you talk about, water quality, stormwater runoff, that's important. But again, developers and sometimes the planning board just sees wetlands as a hindrance to development. So it's something to keep in mind when it comes around for rezoning. And then the last thing I want to talk about is number 13 for the stipend policy for planning board and zoning board members. So I think it's a good idea to have a policy out there, but the way this policy is written, so you're going to have payment for $30 for a field trip, $45 for a special or a regular meeting of the planning board or zoning board members. But you're also giving a stipend of $1,000 a year to the chairman. And I think that is excessive for a number of reasons. First of all, these are supposed to be volunteer positions. And paying for the meetings, I can see. Paying for the field trips. But the $1,000 stipend, I think, is excessive. Whatever happened to volunteering because it's your civic duty, you want to make a difference. Also, the ZBA chair, I foiled for vouchers for 2016 and 2017 for planning board and zoning board members. The zoning board chair was just charging the board, the town, the same as other board members. And it's the planning board chairman that there seemed to be an issue. But the problem is the way this is written. I mean, you cannot, as the town board, control the number of meetings. That's up to the planning board. They could decide they're going to have 4 field trips. They could decide they're going to have 7 special meetings. Will that happen? Maybe not, but you have no way of knowing that. And again, that's why I think you're paying them for each of these meetings. The town law allows you to make such appropriations for planning board expenses, but the planning board is not supposed to exceed, not to exceed any appropriation that may have been made therefore by the town board. Well, in 2016 and 2017, not the zoning board, but the planning board stipends, both years, they exceeded the allowed amount. And I know, Jay, one time you said money was transferred in, but that's not the point. The point was there was $7,500 allotted for each year, and they exceeded it for both years. So, again, I think that, trying to pin down exactly what you will get paid for is a good thing, but I just think that this stipend is just way too high, and I would like the board to consider modifying that. And again, I commend the zoning board chairman for looking out for town taxpayers and not trying to charge more money. And last thing on this, there was just an article in the Poughkeepsie Journal last week that said that the town of Poughkeepsie had the highest effective property tax rate in all of Dutchess County. So you can't control some of those other things. The effective rate is calculated, said, by combining county, municipal, and school taxes. So you guys don't have control over all those things. This particular agenda item for planning board expenses, you do have control over. And I would like you to consider the stipend amount and possibly lowering that. Again, for me, I'd rather not see any stipend at all. I think you should volunteer and not look to get anything in return. But if you have to do something, I just think $1,000 is too much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorian. Anybody else? Mr. Armstrong.
On this number 14, Central Hudson streetlight conversion, that's the situation that come up in the past where they wanted the town to put up, 400-some thousand or whatever it was so they could convert the
Correct.
remaining streetlights, and it's going to get it back because we're going to get a percentage sooner than we would have before with the new lighting. Has that been thoroughly investigated and planned out, and the numbers match that it's correct? That
Yes, it has.
we should possibly see that happen?
Yes, we should
I
save
mean, when it first come up-
$175,000 a year.
When it first come up, my thought was they just didn't want to put up their money. They got us to put up our money.
No, it's $175,000 a year we're going to save, and we were to purchase all those streetlights, to purchase them, which is one of the other options, and there's also a payment plan option. If we were to purchase them, it was in the millions of dollars. And the payback would be, I think it was 6 to 7 years, where the payback in this is about 18 to 24 months. It's going to cost $300-some thousand. Our savings will be $175,000 a year. So within 2 years, we'll break even.
Back the money we put up front.
Yeah.
And then continue with the percentage of
The
savings that
175.
should have been or assumed.
And this doesn't lock us into, if we decide 5 years down the road, if the market model changes and the lights change, or anything, we want to go and buy, in fact, we can still do that. It doesn't lock us into any time frame with Central
Well, I'm
Hudson.
sure they'll always let you buy.
No, they don't
Okay,
want to buy.
thanks. No, that's good. I understand. I just want to know if it was thoroughly investigated cost-wise. Is it going to reveal or return what we thought it was going to return?
It was thoroughly, and we've also done it with, last year we did the auto center over and part of the police station. We did town hall over, the same sort of scenario through Lime Energy, and the payback is just about turning around now. We're watching the bills go down every month with the payback to what it is by going LED in town hall. We're looking at the other couple buildings that are left too to do those next.
All right.
And also, we don't have to bond any money for that at all, so it'll be paid back through the savings. Anybody else? If not, motion to resume the rules.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept, with regret, the retirement of Curtis Peteranis, who's a police lieutenant with the town of Poughkeepsie Police Department, effective May 13th. So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions or comments?
This is a very good police officer. He has served the department very well. He's moved up through the ranks. I saw him at the funeral of, I think it was the funeral, and he's maxed out. Once you're there for a while, you max out on the contribution to your pension. And it's a shame to lose him, but I understand, having been in that position myself.
I agree, Bill.
I want to thank him very much for his service to the town of Poughkeepsie Police Department. And I'm sure the chief will make sure that gets told to him.
I'll second everything Bill said. He was a decent officer to work with on a day-to-day basis, always extremely professional and courteous, and I think growing up through the ranks, I knew when he was a regular officer, shows my age, but I knew him back then, and it definitely, he's always been an asset to the department, and as time goes on, these are harder and harder because they're all at an age now where we're losing quite a few to retirement, and we definitely have a learning curve now going on. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby accept with regret the retirement of David W. Sanzo, police officer with the Town of Poughkeepsie Police Department, effective May 29, 2018. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions or comments on that one?
We're going to miss David as well. Another good officer that we're losing.
Also agreed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas the town of Poughkeepsie, a sub-recipient of assistance from the New York State Department of Transportation and federal financial assistance, and works to adopt, monitor, and enforce a fully compliant civil rights program, Title VI, Plan, Americans with Disabilities Act Transition Plan and Employee Training Plan. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, does hereby adopt the Civil Rights Title VI Plan, Americans with Disabilities Act Transition Plan, and Employees Training Plan, a copy which can be found in the Town Clerk's office, and be it further resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the Chief Executive Officer to sign the Title VI Non-Discrimination Policy Statement and other related documents on behalf of the Town of Poughkeepsie. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions on this one?
I just see a typo that needs to be fixed here in the second. It says Title IV instead of Title VI. You have Title VI, Title VI on top, Title VI on bottom, and then it's just inverted.
Yeah, it's Title VI.
Second paragraph.
Second paragraph is inverted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yes, Charlie did that on those other forms also. So I want to thank Charlie for doing this. This is about a month-and-a-half project. This helps us when we're getting federal grant money. It helps us guide us through the process, and it also, if anybody has a civil rights violation, it gives us all the forms and stuff. DOT is the one that actually works with us on this, and Mr. Williams that helped do it was on almost a day-to-day call basis to help us go through this, which usually doesn't happen from the state. She was like, here, do it. They called, they gave us all the templates to work with, and help us get it all done, and it was like a month-and-a-half process, and we finished up by 3 of the employees took a seminar the other day to finish up on getting all the training, and now this is our next step. We send it up to the state to have it approved, and they said it looked good, so we're on to our next step, and we get grant money to have this in place from the federal government will be a bonus, because this is the MWBE and so on, affects all that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas the Town Board has received an application from Page Park Associates LLC requesting a change of zoning for tax parcel number 6162-16-860468, known as All Space Storage Facility located at 231 to 245 North Grand Avenue, Poughkeepsie, New York 12603, in the town of Poughkeepsie, from Residence Multifamily RM District to Light Industry IL District. And whereas the proposed amendment is attached hereto and incorporated herein, and the Town Board does hereby waive a verbatim reading of said amendment, and does direct that said amendment be spread across the record as if it in fact had been read verbatim. And whereas the change of zone would involve plus or minus 8.67 acre site, and the action to amend the zoning map is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. And whereas the Town Board has determined that the proposed amendment must be referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development and to the Town Planning Board for review and recommendation. And whereas the Town Board has examined 6 NYCRR 617.2 sub U and 617.6 sub B5V of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, regulations, and has determined that the Town of Poughkeepsie Planning Board, through its site plan and subdivision plan review and approval authority under Chapter 210 and Chapter 177 of the Town of Poughkeepsie Code, has extremely broad governmental powers to investigate the potential environmental effects associated with the application, and has the experience and the capability necessary to conduct a thorough environmental assessment of the action. And whereas amending the zoning map requires a public hearing, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board has determined that the action should be subject to a coordinated review because the proposed use of the property will, among other permits and approvals, require site plan and subdivision approval by the Town Planning Board. Therefore, the Town Board consents to the Planning Board acting as the lead lead agency to coordinate the environmental review of the proposed action pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law. And the Town Board refers this matter to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Economic Development for a recommendation pursuant to GML 239-M. And the Town Board refers this matter to the Town Planning Board for an advisory report pursuant to Town Code Section 210-154. And the Town Board hereby defers setting a public hearing on the proposed zoning map amendment until it has received a recommendation and a determination of significance from the Planning Board as lead agency. So moved.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions on that one?
So just also attached to this behind here, just make sure that this is striked. We also have a be and enacted where
It says on the back, being enacted by the Town Board as follows. Pursuant to Article 3, 210-11 of the Town of Poughkeepsie zoning code, the zoning designation of tax parcel number 616216860468 consisted of 8.6 acres. Amended from residence multifamily district to light industry is where it's going to go. It's
It
part
kind of
the-
sounds like a little bit premature, like it's already been
That's what would happen
decided.
after
There.
That's just the
recommendation.
attachment, that's not,
Yeah, it's not part of the thing. We're
resolution.
just reading it
Okay.
into the
Okay.
record, so it's there.
sorry,
to make sure that that wasn't on
after,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a little bit,
That's just the description
Just,
of,
yeah, just reading the record,
bit
so
of
if
what
anybody's interested.
they want to have
just the
happen, yeah.
attachment. Yeah, that's not,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
the resolution itself would start with being enacted if it was,
Right.
right. Be it resolved, the Town Board of
Passes 7-0. Go ahead, Lynn.
Motion passes.
Oh, motion.
Go ahead.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve that Karen Schubert attend the New York State Association Tax Receiver and Collector Seminar from June 10th, 2018 through June 13th, 2018 in Lake Placid, New York, and be further resolved that Karen Schubert is hereby authorized to utilize a town vehicle for travel to, at, and from said convention, and subject to budget limits and applicable town policy, to apply for reimbursement for her lodging, fuel, food, and tolls for the convention. So moved.
Second?
We have a motion second. Any questions on that? It's in Karen's budget for the show. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And passes 7-0. 8A, be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby appoint Todd Frunze to the position of laborer, full-time permanent with the Water Department at $17.50 per hour, which appointment will become effective May 21st, 2018, and which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law. Be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions on this one? Nope. Keith interviewed them, and Tom, and we discussed the two applicants, and we're in favor of hiring them. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby appoint Robert Dunlap to the position of laborer, full-time permanent with the Water Department at $17.50 per hour, which appointment will become effective May 21st, 2018, and which appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 8 nor more than 26 weeks per civil service law. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute and file all documentation required by Dutchess County Department of Human Resources in connection with this appointment. So moved.
Second?
We have a motion second. Any questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Resolution 9, whereas the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie has heretofore received an application from Ryan Bosch to hold a Hudson Valley Creator Fest on May 12, 2018, with a rain date of May 13, 2018, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., to be held at 46 Raymond Avenue, Poughkeepsie, New York, owned by Vassar Property. And be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the application as submitted, and that the town clerk is in receipt of applicable fees and a certificate of liability insurance naming the Town of Poughkeepsie as an additional insured. And be it further resolved that the Town of Poughkeepsie, Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie, does hereby waive the open container law in the event alcoholic beverages are to be served, along with all other state laws remaining in full force and effect. So moved.
Second?
We have a motion second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Good luck, Jim.
Good luck. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the settlement of the tax certiorari proceedings instituted by Bocce Partnership LP and ET Quiet LLC for the tax assessment rolls for 2016 and 2017 as shown on the attached, and be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby authorize the supervisor or his designee, town assessor, and Kyle Barnett of Vandewater and Vandewater LLP to sign such papers as are necessary to effectuate said settlement. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second? Yes, you just want to,
Sure, yeah.
Thanks for
So
that motion.
just in those, in the attached paperwork, the reduction in assessment and the final assessment values are swapped. So with those fixed, I think everything looks right.
Yeah, because if it was $250,000, we should be buying this for,
We said,
public who's not aware where this is the former,
golf course.
Dutchess County Golf Course, and this is the golf course portion of it, and it's still being evaluated at $2.25 million.
So that's not, no.
All those in favor?
Yeah, not the,
Whoa. We're not voting for the reduction, are we?
Actually, we're not to that total number, the other number.
We're going to go from 2.2?
No, those numbers got turned.
Numbers are reversed.
If you go
Okay.
further in the document,
So Jessica was changing.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
if
right.
you go to the very, I
So the
think,
reduction is $250,000?
correct.
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 Because I wanted to buy 10 acres at $1,700
Right,
an acre?
exactly. Yeah,
no, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it isn't.
Okay, so the reduction is $250,000.
correct.
Right.
And the final amount, I assume, is what it was in its place at $2,250,000.
Right.
Right,
Okay, it says reduction in assessment, that's what,
Yeah.
right.
that was
No, I caught
reversed.
that right away.
okay, good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Be resolved, Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby award the bid per the recommendation of the Recreation Director Tom Myron, annexed for mowing of town parks to Tancredi Landscaping at the bid price of $47,999 per year for the years of 2018, 2019. And be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute contract agreements with the above noted companies upon receipt of insurance certificates and security bonds. So moved.
Second?
A motion second, any questions on that one?
Yeah, I've received a few questions about this. So there were 3 bids, and he's definitely came in lower. It was $15,000 less than the others. It's a very good bid.
Yeah, it's a good bid and we have to get it, because he's got to get out there right away and start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the first company was unable to complete, so we had to rebid it, and Tancredi gets it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie pursuant to New York Town Law, Chapter 271, Sub 2, and 267, Sub 2, hereby adopts the annexed Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals stipend policy. And be it further resolved that the Town Board determines that the adoption of this policy involves ongoing, routine, and continuing town maintenance, or town administration and management requiring no secret review. And be it further resolved that this policy shall take effect and replace all prior policies as of its adoption. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second, any questions on this one?
I just wanted to make a few comments because I know Doreen had questions, so I wanted to clear a couple things up. Number one, for the special meetings, that does require a noticed meeting where everyone has been invited to be there. It's not just meeting individuals. And then, Jay, you were saying for the chairperson, if you can clarify that $250 stipend takes place of those other small stipends that were being
The
taken
$10
before.
$10, yes. And it takes out all these other special meetings that were going on to, and everything, it's just designated
I was wondering,
house meetings.
remember how when we have to do those reports on the hours we work for the pension thing? Do the people that are involved in these 2 boards do something like that?
No.
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 Is there any way we can know how many hours these people put into this work?
And my other question was, is there any cap?
Create an hourly report, or is it
Right.
just an invoice? I'm under the impression it's just an invoice.
Invoice for the meeting, yeah.
Okay,
It's-
but we don't know if the meeting was 20 minutes or 5 hours.
No, and that's why we're taking away the other piece, where we're getting charged for all these separate little meetings. Planning board meeting, we can tell by watching the meeting. Planning board and the workshop, they come in at 8 o'clock in the morning, the workshop usually lasts about 2 hours.
Okay.
Because they go out and they visit the
So
site.
as soon as, the hourly rate then, this is per event.
Yeah,
So if it's a 3-hour meeting at $30, they're getting paid $10 an hour.
If it's a 45-minute meeting, they're getting paid
It's not an hourly wage, it's a person.
No, it's for the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor?
I just had a question. It was brought to our attention that the current zoning chair has not been taking anything in addition for being chair. So by giving him $1,000 annual stipend, we're actually, the town is actually paying more for services it has been getting already. Is that the case?
Correct.
So if in the interest of making it equitable, perhaps we could split that $1,000 between the two chairs, so we'd bring that down to $125 per quarter for both of them.
Could he make a claim against us for not paying him the right wages?
But it's not wages.
They're not,
That's
yeah.
not wages.
Stipend, it's not
Oh,
wages.
because it's an hourly fee.
And before it was reliant on them invoicing us. So with no invoice, if he didn't come up and invoice and whoever was signing the checks and handing the receipts, because as I also understand they weren't signed, they
Or they were in a different file, they just gave.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you had to submit an
So
invoice
it's
to
his
be paid.
The chairperson.
We didn't know his fault.
That he
I think
didn't
it just wasn't
get
clear.
the $45. He got only.
Somewhere along the line, it went and they gave him the added, and they gave it to him, but it's been a couple of years back, so
Okay.
we don't know when it started, how it started, but I think that's why we had to put a policy in place going forward, so we know exactly what it's gonna be.
Okay.
Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,
Motion passes 6-1.
We forgot to do number 12, so
Okay.
I'll read number 12, notification. The following claims have been referred to legal. 1, Royal Karting versus the town. 2, Chinoy versus town. And 3, Kiera versus town. So moved.
Second.
We're on 13.
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. Whereas the town of Poughkeepsie has received a proposal, a copy of which is attached from Central Hudson Gas and Electric Corporation to convert 2,766 non-LED Rate A streetlights in the town of Poughkeepsie to LED streetlights at a net cost to the town of $331,002.84, subject to Central Hudson Gas and Electric Public Service Commission Electric Tariff Number 15, Service Classification 8, Street Lighting. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie authorizes the supervisor to contract with Central Hudson for the conversion on the terms as proposed, and be further resolved that the Town Board determines that the execution of this contract without the solicitation for other proposals is in the best interest of the town, and be further resolved that this conversion is a contract for the replacement of electrical equipment, which is a type 2 action requiring no secret review. So moved.
Second.
Good motion second. Any questions on those?
Yeah, no, actually, for the number of streetlights we have, this is a smart way to do it. It just annoys me, though, that this fee is required by the federal government,
Yeah.
that we're paying for the usable life in the arms that are up there now. And to me, this is just ridiculous. This is the way we should be going, and we shouldn't be penalized for doing the right
We're doing the
thing.
right thing, and the purchase was so high, and the fact that it says without solicitation, there was a solicitation. We met over the last year and a half, different companies that came in. One was to purchase, one was a purchase with a maintenance program, but none of them were the same. So that's why we're considered without solicitation. But we had, I know Bill brought somebody in earlier on, and we had another group came in. It was New York Power Authority, had just started. We had different groups over the years, but we thought this is the best, the most money, and it doesn't bind us that we decide in 3 years we want to go out and bond the money, which this money won't have to bond. You know, we could change our mind back, we want to buy them all, but that turns us over into maintenance and doing all that work on the stuff that we really don't have the manpower to do at this time.
But also this move to LED is going to immediately earn us points with the Climate
Yes.
Smart Pledge.
Yes.
Yes, and we did the pledge, we got that, and then we're working on conversion on the police department to Lime Energy, and that should be coming in probably
And-
the next meeting.
Your center.
Yep, and the senior center, both of those should be coming in soon, they're just about done, so between those, I think that was saving us another $30,000 or $40,000 in those two. So hopefully we'll get $200,000 or so in the next couple of years, having it'll pay for itself.
Wow.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Is it me? You're up, Jay. Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby grant special consent to the following items to wit. 1, waive a 30-day liquor license for Pola's Public House, and B, Kobe Hibachi Sushi. 2, establish an open development area, RE Eastdale project with conditions. 3, authorize Chabad Lubovich's Torah Community Parade. Be it further resolved that upon the objection of any member of the town board, an item may be removed from the list and voted on separately. So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions on the special consent? All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby acknowledge receipt of a request on behalf of Paul's Public House, 2186 New Hackensack Road, Poughkeepsie, New York, for a waiver of the 30-day review period for a liquor license application. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the town clerk's forwarding of a waiver and consent pursuant to the attached request. So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions?
Before you vote on this, is the consensus of the board to write to the owner to advise that obviously it has no objection to whatever is happening with the state liquor authority, but that does not change zoning status or use classifications under the town code?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Special consent 1B. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby acknowledge receipt of a request on behalf of Kobe Hibachi Sushi Asian Cuisine, Inc. at 2585 South Road, Poughkeepsie, for a waiver of the 30-day review period for a liquor license application. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Poughkeepsie does hereby approve the town clerk's forwarding of a waiver and consent pursuant to the attached request. So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Whereas a project known as Eastdale, the project located within McDonald Heights Center, MHC zoning district of the town of Poughkeepsie, would be served by the town board's establishment of an open development area, ODA, and whereas the project is located on both sides of Route 44, Dutchess Turnpike, in the town of Poughkeepsie, in Dutchess County, New York, and consists of approximately 60.87 acres on 7 tax map parcels, 6262-04-723342, 6262-04-761394, 6262-07-864243, 6262-04-749282, 6262-04-758301, 6262-04-75498, and 6262-04-892195, the project site. And whereas the project, as currently proposed, includes the development of a new mixed-use town center with more than 470,000 gross square feet, GSF, the residential uses, approximately 390 residential units, and more than 120,000 GSF of commercial and other non-residential uses. The project also includes supporting infrastructure such as driveways, roadways, sidewalks, parking areas, landscaping, open space, recreational uses, playgrounds, stormwater management facilities, and utilities. Approximately 35 acres of the project site would be developed, and approximately 25.5 acres, 42%, would be left as undeveloped open space, approximately 21.7 acres, or developed recreational uses, approximately 3.85 acres. And whereas the project's model is based upon the creation of a sale of improved lots in phases, which will be developed over time, and will require planning board subdivision review and approval. And whereas the project's applicants have submitted an illustrative, non-binding plan of subdivision, which is annexed to the resolution as Exhibit A, and whereas on its own motion and direction action for purposes of SECRA, the town board entertains the establishment of an ODA pursuant Town Law, Chapter 280-A4, in order to allow the access of future lots other than by direct access to public road or by a street shown on a plat duly filed with the town clerk. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town board does hereby establish an open development area covering the project as defined herein above. Be it further resolved that in this resolution is conditional on the project's proffer of an acceptable deed restriction governing the full sale of improved lots for the purpose of allocating residential and commercial density on each lot. Said covenant will be enforced by the town, and modifications of such deed restriction to rearrange the allocation of density shall be subject to approval of the town board. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This came up and it has to be referred to the planning board and Dutchess County Planning. So I'd like to make a motion to table this and refer it to Town Planning Board and Dutchess County Planning, Department of Planning and Development pursuant to municipal law at this time.
Second the tabling.
And then we'll get back to it on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
SC3, whereas the town board has heretofore received an insurance certificate and application from Rabbi Yaakov Borenstein on behalf of Shabbat Lupovich of the Middleton Valley to hold its Torah Community Parade on June 3rd, 2018, which parade routes include a portion of Alda Drive and Pine Tree Drive and other highways which are not under the town's jurisdiction. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board, Town of Poughkeepsie, does pursuant to Code Section 174-38, hereby approve a temporary closing of portions of Alda Drive from Spagnkill to Pine Tree Drive and Pine Tree Drive then to Vassar Road from approximately 1:30 to 3:30 on the above date. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Felicia, did you want to add anything to this, or
Sorry about that.
did you want to add anything to this, or?
Just that it's a large parade, but we don't really have the authority to approve the whole parade. So we're really just approving the temporary closure of the roads that are in the town. But I believe that perhaps the rabbi should come in and talk to the police department, and they're going to, get together and make sure that safely everything takes place.
And sit down for public safety course with him. I think the rabbi is here somewhere. I think I saw him come in. Yeah. If you would sit down with the police department and discuss the public safety, and we don't have the legal right to close any state roads, so you have to sit down and discuss the public safety issues with the police chief. Okay? Do you want to come up and say something, Rabbi? Yeah, come on up.
Technically, we can only approve our streets, so.
Yeah. So good evening, Councilman. I think some people I know here. For those who I don't know, hello. Nice to meet you. This project was going on, we did this in 2005. That's 12 years ago. We did it actually from Best Western, was a much longer, I don't know if those people were, some of them were still here. But priority number one is safety, which is for sure what I want. And I sat down with the county. Vassar Road is a county road. I also sat down with the state, like 4 or 5 people, the top engineers and regional directors, they all sat down with me. And we all agreed that safety is number one. So we're not going to close the road. Maybe I didn't hear well. It's going to be probably 10 minutes on Route 9 till we get to Spagnkill. And at the end, it's going to be another 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I don't think it's going to be much longer. And I've been in touch with Bruschetta, the officer Bruschetta, and he said that, of course, pending everything what the town says. And I said, we're all going to work. Priority by me is number one, the safety. And I think with several cars, with flashing lights, I think it's going to be safe. And I just wanted to mention why so much, if people wonder why do I want to do this so much. It's in Jewish tradition that when you finish a Torah, which is the actually roots embedded in the Jewish religion. So sometimes you just fix it and you make a party in the synagogue. This is brand new written. It takes about 1.5 years to write. And in Jewish tradition, this is supposed to be celebrated on the streets. That's why we felt as an honor, just like as a wedding, we go with a canopy underneath. It's a whole procedure to honor of finishing a Torah. So what I'm asking is, I know there's many other parades, I'm asking just for a few minutes, and of course with safety, and without safety, I don't even want to do it. Especially now what's going on in the world, we want to make sure it's safe. But I think with the several cars, 3 or 4 cars, we don't want to overdo it. With flashing lights, as we march at them, I don't think anything is going to happen.
How big of a parade is this? How many cars are,
I figure about 50 people will be marching on the street, guess. And then cars following. So in other words, it never really stops. I don't want it to stop. I'm personally involved with that too. I want the parade to move. And I want them to go slowly, but it's going to be followed by, it's going to be led actually by a float. The float will be going, and then people are going to be marching, and then cars behind that. So when we turn off Spack and Kill, as I discussed it with the state, we're not going to stop at the corner. We're going to move in a little bit. Within 3 minutes, everybody's going to be in their cars. And then we go down to Alder Drive, and then we get out of the cars, and then we can march with the...
I think our biggest fear was Route 9 on a weekend, having the cars out there with the safety of cars going by.
Is there a possibility of avoiding Route 9 altogether by, rather than turning right onto IBM Road from the hotel, if you turned left and went onto Spack and Kill that way?
Well, one of the concerns, one of the things we discussed here with our committee and with community people here is, number one, is Spack and Kill to make, in other words, when we come out of the hotel from Hampton Inn, to make a left to go into Spack and Kill. First of all, it's a very short distance. There's no really a parade there. Number two, it's very narrow. I feel, despite its Route 9, as part closure, it's like a car that stops, has a flat tire, and the other 3 lanes go, is much more safer than coming to one small place in Spack where you can't really go. It's not wide enough. And number two is, the main thing is to give it the biggest honor is the most public place. That's what it is. So these both combinations. But I think that the time-wise, we're talking about 10 minutes, not even, on a flowing going march, not stopping.
Yeah, I just ask you meet with the Officer Ruschetti again.
Yes,
and the
yes,
chief,
absolutely.
and make sure everything's safe. We want to make sure it's the safest route going.
Otherwise, I don't want to march either.
Yeah, the chief is here tonight. We agreed that, you meet with him and you guys work on the parade
Yes.
route and make sure it's safe.
Right, and that's also, the state also said they're giving us permission, but they want to see the police presence, and the county said the same thing, as long as police presence. So now we have to speak with the officer and make sure that it's all...
Did either one of them offer up any police, the state or the county?
Sheriff or the state police?
No, they didn't tell me that.
Yeah, it figures that much.
Oh, we're going to make a new budget for that.
It would be nice if the state police took over, Route 9 for us, at least that little piece, would help.
Right, but they told, when I started to talk to them, they said that usually all these, we give permits or we don't give permits, usually we don't get involved with the police themselves. That's.
Yeah, push you off on somebody else.
But I will be meeting with them shortly.
Okay.
I mean, we have to plan this as June 3rd.
All right, the chief's here if you want to talk to him in the back.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you so much.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Coming to the end of our agenda, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules for public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to make a public comment. Doreen.
Okay, so obviously, I think your vote on the stipend policy was disappointing, and I did not have a question as to what meetings were covered at that point, but Jay, you did say something. You talked about a workshop. So now this says a field trip?
I meant field trip.
A special meal? Okay, but they do have workshops sometimes.
No, it's a field trip.
Okay, so are they going to get paid for workshops?
No.
Okay.
No, it's field trips. Field trip is to prepare for their meeting. It's a field trip.
Okay, so basically now what you've done is you've increased $1,000 for the zoning board because Jim Challey wasn't charging anything. And while you're sort of trying to make it look like you're controlling expenses, I really think that you are not when it comes to the planning board. And Councilman Carlos, I don't know how you can talk about paying somebody per hour for a volunteer position.
I wanted to clarify it, Doreen. With Mr. Shalley, if the position for the zoning board was $45 an hour, was the same, for the planning board was 45, should it have been the same thing for the zoning board?
Well,
clearly the decision is not.
Right, and first of all, there was nothing in writing that I could find, even as a result of a FOIL, that said how much they were going to be paid. So it looked like it was arbitrary as to what the planning board chairman thought he was worth and how many meetings he should be getting paid for. For example, in that one voucher for a 2-month period, he was paid for 17 meetings. So I'm not convinced that you've done anything here tonight that's really going to save the taxpayers any money, but I will be keeping track of that. The other thing I want to say is that last time I had brought up, or 2 meetings ago, I brought up about Vassar College, about the inn that they were planning, and nobody seemed to think that there was anything definite about that. And then subsequently, I sent around something from the April 12, 2018 Vassar College paper, which did say the proposed site is currently the green space next to Alumni House, with the future location of the Arlington Farmers Market still being decided. So, and then subsequent to that, on April 22nd, it said that there was a working group, including administration and architects, and they were narrowing down the design, which will then be shown to the trustees. So it appears that this is going forward, and again, that if it's where the site of the farmers market is, right now that's zoned institutional. And my interpretation is that the valid uses for that under town code does not include an inn or a hotel. And if that was the case, then they would have to come before you to ask for a zoning change. So,
Doreen, they haven't come to us yet. I reached out to them last week. I have a meeting, I think in a week or so, I think it's about 10 days from now, with them over their whole master plan, because it keeps coming up back and forth, and we really like to know where they stand, because you stated, and you're correct, they have to come in for a zoning change while they're going through all this legwork. I think they should come in and see what our feelings are.
yeah.
So we did reach out to them.
Right. And I think maybe they, again, my interpretation, they may have thought that it wasn't necessary because normally their projects end up being approved anyway by the planning board. But again, this is the town board that would have to approve the rezoning, and I do think they should have consulted with you first. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Armstrong. Sorry, Rebecca.
Going back to number 6, I agree with Doreen about this wetland stuff and the way they're not being preserved the way they should. If I remember correctly, back on, I think it was North Grand and Salt Point years ago when they put those apartments in, that was wetland, and a lot of those foundations had to set for quite a while before they could build on them, if I'm not mistaken. And they've had a lot of problems, from what I understand, with the buildings even today. The other one, number 7, on Schubert, Karen Schubert, going all the way to Lake Placid, which is a 5-hour car ride each way. And is her time backfilled with someone else while she's away?
No, they are usually scheduled at a good time of year. One girl will fill in, but it's a small amount of time. It's like 8 hours, I think, because it's a quiet session. It's not during tax collection
My other
season.
thing is, there's nowhere closer for them to go to these kind of things than all the way to Lake Placid?
That's where their association meets. It's a receiver tax
That's where
association.
they meet all the
State
time?
association, and with the town clerks every year, they do it in the western part, and then the next year they do it someplace close to Albany, so that you can make it convenient for everyone in the state every other year.
And she has to go now to get this done this year, that she has to
I'm
go?
not speaking of her, I'm just saying that's usually the way the state does
Oh.
it. They try and do it in one area of the state one year.
It's always been a battle with another organization that I was involved with, that going so far for classes and not trying to find out if there were places closer,
Yeah,
to
this-
backfill and all that kind of
Yeah,
problem.
that's not that scenario. That's where they hold their
It's
association
different.
meetings.
My last thing is, a couple meetings ago, 3 meetings ago, I brought up the subject about a piece of property that had the work order to stop them from working until they got the proper permits. And my understanding is, just recently, someone removed those stop work orders and went in and maybe did some more cutting. That the town was notified, and they went down and tacked signs up again. Now, we know who those people are. I don't know if I want to mention their name at this point or not, but this is being looked at pretty close right now, because this has gotten to be a real insult, as far as I'm concerned, for people that in the know to go and pull this nonsense that they're pulling and destroy a piece of property that probably shouldn't have been destroyed with the clear cut they're doing, and they're going to want to put up an apartment. This was a piece of property that was sold to the town police at a extremely low price for their target practice work, and it's all private property. They were sold this piece of property for some reason they couldn't do it. They went and sold it to a private individual who happened to be a member of the club that is on that road, that owns that road, at a tremendous gain, which, fine, good. The person who had bought that property was a member of the club that was on that private road, so there was no real objections to him building a house, which was his intention. The person has since passed. His family has sold the property to these individuals, and they now have got to go through, it was only supposed to be for single family. They want to build, from what I understand, either apartments or condos or whatever they want to do. And I just hope that this thing is stopped. Because first off, there are going to be big problems coming down our private road, the services that are going to have to come down our private road. This is going to be a Donnybrook, and it's being watched closely because as soon as those signs were removed, it was reported. And I know none of our people did it.
No, there is a stop work order in place, Mr. Armstrong.
Huh?
Stop order, or work order is in place, and order remedy, I think, was sent out the other day to at least get the silt fencing up and control and get the seeding down to at least stabilize the property.
Well, my question the last time was, this is twice now that they were told to stop, and I don't know if they're going to get a slap on the hand, or they're going to pay a fine, or they're going to have to replant where they cut where they shouldn't have cut. These people, I don't know who they think they are to just walk in and do what they feel like doing. Because I know none of us took those signs off. None of us removed the equipment. None of us moved any of the cut down trees. Yep. So, I hope this thing is looked into very closely because it's not going to die out easy.
No, we are working on it. We met
not going to die out easy. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Edwards.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Edwards. I'm a county legislator for District 6, which is parts of Ward 2, Ward 3, and Ward 6. And I just wanted to introduce myself because I haven't done that at a town board meeting and say hello and provide contact information if anybody wanted to have it, just to let people know that I will try to come to town board meetings when I can, and wanted to make sure there's a clear communication between town and county government. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Angela.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Angela Flesland. I'm a resident of the 6th Ward of the town of Poughkeepsie. A few months ago, I looked into purchasing a little free library to go on the front lawn of my neighborhood. I purchased an old newspaper box and converted that into the library. It's absolutely adorable. And in the time that I was researching this, I looked at the zoning code and saw nothing in there that would prohibit this kind of activity. But before installing it, I reached out to the zoning administrator to make sure that everything was in compliance. She informed me that she was considering it a structure and I needed to go before the zoning board. Yesterday, I came to town hall with my completed application and was informed that I would need to submit 14 copies of the application, which I said, okay, no big deal, and $800 for the interpretation and $2,000 for escrow fees to put up a library in my front lawn. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is not FDR's library that I'm looking to put on my front lawn. It is an old newspaper box. So what I'm looking for you to do is to either amend the zoning code to clearly define the term structure, because that's where I think there's an issue here. The way that this is being interpreted, the grill that anyone has in their backyard is considered a structure as well, if this is a structure. So you can either change and clearly define structure, or I've sent the town supervisor language that was provided by the Little Free Library Association in some areas where they've had problems with zoning codes before to clearly write out in this instance what it would do. So it's entirely up to you and the attorney how you would feel best to proceed. But I think that this is something that brings an opportunity to enhance the quality of life in the town of Poughkeepsie. I think it's a great way to promote literacy and get neighbors talking to each other, get people outside. So I think to have someone try to go through the steps correctly and be told you need to spend $2,800 to go before the zoning board is absolutely absurd. So I'm really looking for your help to remedy this, and I'm very encouraged by the reception that I've received thus far from Councilman Renahan and Supervisor Baisley, as well as Councilwoman Shershin on this issue, and I'm hoping that we can really find a solution to this problem.
Angela, we passed it on to Director of Development today to look at it because I thought it fit. As I said, we discussed the concerns that Councilman Renahan had. We think it's a pretty good fix. I said the fact that the $2,000 falls in that one category, I sort of agree that the structure really isn't a structure, but that's her interpretation. But I think we can resolve this issue, and I just had the conversation with Jessica, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that we thought they were great ideas, and I said I spoke to you about it, and you were going to come in and go and try to change it. We never thought it was, looking at it, that it was that kind of money. So I think we can definitely address it in-house, because when the code was put in place, I think you stated the code's antiquated. These things didn't exist.
Yeah.
They're around. I know a couple of people have said that they've used the one in Hyde Park in different
There
areas.
is one in the 3rd Ward of the town of Poughkeepsie now. I'm guessing, that wasn't before the zoning board, and nor should it have to be.
No.
And that's where government needs to, sort of take a step back and say, this is essentially like a lawn ornament. If I want to put this on my lawn, it's something that, would be well kept. It's something that, would not look sloppy, anything like that. That's something that's a benefit to the town and a benefit to property values in a neighborhood. So anything we can do.
Yeah, we just want to write it so it's in there right. So there's all our other ones out there that we are covered, and we don't end up with 30 in a yard, or there's some of yours is nice. I saw yours, and I said we've thought about putting them up in different areas. I discussed putting up one down in our area. So I think it's a great idea where to put them, but we just want to make sure they don't end up like some of the boxes for the clothes and stuff that ends up on a weekend with piles and piles of stuff. Because I think Jessica and I discussed the location. That's one of your fears, is somebody come by and just dumping.
Yeah, because a lot of places don't take books anymore. I didn't even think of that.
Well, but even if they do, it's on your yard.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have to clean up. And
throw it out
my son's fiance, there's actually one in her neighborhood in Beacon, and it's adorable. And she every now and then goes, and she's becoming a PhD in English, so she loves reading, and she checks it out and sees if they're missing books and brings books and adds more books to it. So it's really a delight.
At the end, as Angela stated, it definitely brings a little bit of community involvement in.
Yeah.
You see your neighbor outside, it gives you a reason to talk to your neighbor. So I think, Angela, we can definitely get through this. I gave it to Mike this morning, and I said, Jeff has already read what you gave, and I thought it was pretty straightforward.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you on it.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have to go to the interpretation point.
No. Thank
Definitely
you.
not. Thanks, Angela.
Thanks, Angela.
Anybody else? Motion to resume the rules?
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. Mr. Renahan?
Be it resolved, the town board of the town of Poughkeepsie does hereby adjourn to executive session to consider the following matters, to wit: contractual negotiations, confidential communications between the attorney and his client, the town board based on attorney-client privilege, and matters leading to the appointment, employment, dismissal, or removal of a person, firm, or corporation. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Town board goes in executive session at 8:08 PM. If anybody needs any signatures, come on up.